On the same stormy night, 3 pregnant women were rushed to the same hospital, strangers to each other. But by morning, one shocking secret connected all 3 of them to the same man. And only one doctor was brave enough to tell the truth. Subscribe to Soul of Kindness for more heart-touching stories. The rain was heavy that night. It was almost 11 o'clock. When the emergency doors of Mercy General Hospital burst open for the first time, a young woman stumbled inside, soaking wet, her hands clutching her swollen belly. Her name was Claire. She was 26 years old, soft-spoken, with tired eyes that looked like they had been crying for weeks. She had no one with her. No husband, no family. Just a small bag on her shoulder and a trembling lip. She kept biting to stop herself from breaking down. The nurse at the front desk immediately called for a wheelchair. "How far along are you?" the nurse asked. 8 months, Claire whispered. "And something feels wrong." They took her to room 4. 15 minutes later, the emergency doors opened again. This time, a well-dressed woman walked in, or tried to walk in. She gripped the doorframe, her expensive coat soaked through. Her name was Diana. She was 32 years old, confident even in pain. The kind of woman who looked like she had everything figured out. Her wedding ring caught the light as she reached out to the reception desk. "I need a doctor now," she said. Her voice didn't shake, but her eyes were terrified. They took her to room 6. And then, just before midnight, an old man pushed through the doors in a panic, a young girl leaning heavily on his arm. She looked barely 20. Her name was Sophie. She was small, frightened, and barely able to stand. The old man, her uncle, kept repeating, "She just started screaming." I didn't know what to do. They took Sophie to room 9. 3 women, 3 rooms, same hospital, same stormy night. Dr. James Holloway was the attending physician on duty. He was 44 years old, calm under pressure, with graying temples and a reputation for never missing details others overlooked. He had been a doctor for 18 years. He had seen everything, or so he thought. He reviewed all 3 intake charts at the nurse's station and felt a strange stillness settle over him. He read the charts again, then a 3rd time. He set the papers down slowly and looked at the head nurse. "Pull all 3 files," he said quietly. "Full medical history, everything." Dr. Holloway started with Claire. She was lying in the hospital bed staring at the ceiling when he walked in. He introduced himself, checked her vitals, and gently asked the standard questions. Due date, any complications, emergency contact. At the last question, Claire looked away. "There's no emergency contact," she said. "No family? No partner?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "The father. He left 6 months ago. He said the baby wasn't his." Her voice cracked. "But it is. It is his." Dr. Holloway noted it and moved on professionally, but something stayed with him, a feeling he couldn't explain yet. He went to room 6 next. Diana was sitting upright in her bed, already on her phone, already demanding answers. "I want my personal OB/GYN called immediately. I don't normally come to emergency hospitals. I want everything documented properly." Dr. Holloway remained calm. He asked his questions. When he asked about her husband, Diana's jaw tightened almost invisibly. "He's traveling for work," she said. "He travels a lot." "His name for the file?" "Nathan Graves." Dr. Holloway wrote it down and moved to the next room. Sophie was the one that broke his heart the most. She was sitting curled on the bed, knees pulled up as far as her belly allowed, her uncle waiting in the hall. She looked like a child herself. When the doctor sat down beside her, she flinched. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. "I just want to help you and your baby." Sophie nodded slowly. "Can you tell me about the father?" She looked down at her hands. "He told me he loved me," she said. "He told me he was going to take care of us. He told me." Her voice disappeared into silence. "His name?" She whispered it. "Nathan Graves." Dr. Holloway's pen stopped moving. He looked at her. She didn't notice. She was still staring at her hands. He stood up slowly, excused himself professionally, walked out of room 9 and stood in the hallway. He already knew what he was about to confirm. He walked back to the nurse's station and opened Claire's file again. Under emergency contact, blank. Under father of child, she had written a name and then crossed it out. He held the paper under the light. The crossed-out name was Nathan Graves. Dr. Holloway didn't sleep that night. He sat at the nurse's station with 3 files open in front of him and a cold cup of coffee he hadn't touched. The storm outside was still crashing against the hospital windows. Inside, the hallways were quiet except for the beeping of monitors and the soft steps of night nurses. 3 women, 3 babies, 1 man. He was a doctor. His job was medicine. His job was to make sure these 3 women and their 3 unborn children survived the night safely. But he was also a human being, and what he was sitting with, the weight of this secret, felt like more than any one person should carry alone. He called his senior colleague, Dr. Patricia Wren, the hospital's lead obstetrician. She arrived within the hour, still in her coat, her silver hair pulled back. He showed her the files without saying a word and watched her expression change as she read. "Does any one of them know about the others?" she asked. "No." "Are all 3 stable?" "For now. Sophie concerns me most. She came in with elevated blood pressure. Claire has some irregular contractions. Diana appears fine physically, but I want monitoring continued." Dr. Wren set the files down. "James, this is not our secret to tell." "I know. Our job is the health of the patients." "I know that too." She looked at him carefully. "But?" He rubbed his face. "But these women are about to bring children into the world, and each one of them believes, or believed, that this man was committed to her. At least 2 of them don't know he's married. And the one who is married to him doesn't know the other 2 exist." He paused. "When he walks through that door," if he walks through that door, the words landed heavily. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then the phone at the nurse's station rang. The night nurse picked it up, then turned to Dr. Holloway. "Doctor, there's a man in the lobby. Says he's here for a patient. Nathan Graves." Nathan Graves was exactly what Dr. Holloway had expected, and somehow still worse. He was tall, well-groomed, with the easy confidence of a man who had never been caught at anything. He was perhaps 35, with a disarming smile that he wore like a tool. When Dr. Holloway met him in the lobby, Nathan extended his hand immediately. "I'm here for my wife, Diana Graves. Room 6, I was told. I'm Dr. Holloway, the attending physician tonight. Is she all right? Is the baby all right?" He sounded like a concerned husband. He looked like one too. Dr. Holloway studied him. "Your wife is stable. The baby is fine. I do need to speak with you privately before you go in." Nathan's smile didn't waver. "Of course." They stepped into a small consultation room. Dr. Holloway closed the door. "Mr. Graves," he said carefully, "we have 3 patients admitted tonight. And in reviewing their files, I've come across some information that creates a very serious situation, medically and otherwise." Nathan's eyes sharpened slightly, just slightly. "I don't understand. There are 2 other women in this hospital tonight who have listed you as the father of their children." Silence, not the silence of shock, the silence of calculation. Nathan leaned back slowly. That must be some kind of mistake. Some kind of... Both women gave your name independently. I verified it against the files. There is no clerical error." Nathan's jaw shifted. The smile was completely gone now. What replaced it was something cold and careful. "Doctor, I think you need to understand that whatever those women told you, Mr. Graves," Dr. Holloway's voice was quiet but unmovable, "I'm not asking you to confess anything to me. I am telling you, as the physician responsible for all 3 patients tonight, that this situation exists. And I'm going to ask you one very direct question." Nathan said nothing. "Is Diana your wife?" A long pause. "Yes." "And do you have a relationship with a young woman named Sophie, approximately 20 years old?" Nathan looked at the wall. "And a woman named Claire, 26? The room was absolutely silent. Dr. Holloway let the silence sit there. He didn't fill it. He didn't rush it. He had learned long ago that silence is one of the most powerful tools a doctor has. Finally, Nathan said very quietly, "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Dr. Holloway said. "I want nothing from you, but I need you to understand something." He leaned forward slightly. Those 3 women are going to deliver 3 children who share a father. And every one of them came into this hospital tonight alone, in a storm, scared, no one holding their hand. Nathan looked at the floor. Whatever you decide to do when you walk out of this room is between you and your conscience. But if you walk into room 6 and you pretend tonight is a normal night, I want you to know that I know. And more importantly, they will know. Eventually, they always do. Dr. Holloway returned to his rounds. But the hospital had become something different now. The hallways felt charged, like the air before lightning strikes. He checked on Sophie first. Her blood pressure had come down slightly, which was good. She was sleeping finally, her small frame rising and falling with slow breaths. Her uncle had fallen asleep in the chair beside her, his head tilted against the wall. Dr. Holloway stood at the doorway for a moment. Sophie had told him earlier, in pieces, how she had met Nathan. She was a college student. He had been at a lecture event. She thought he was a professor at first. He was charming, attentive, serious. He said he had never felt this way before. He said she was different from anyone he had known. She believed every word. Down the hall, Claire was awake. He could see her light was on. He knocked softly and entered. She was sitting up, both hands resting on her belly, staring at nothing. "Can't sleep?" he asked. She shook her head. He sat in the chair beside her bed. Not as a doctor for a moment, just as a person. "When he left," she said without being asked, "I kept thinking it was something I did. Something I said. I replayed every conversation 1,000 times trying to figure out what was wrong with me." She paused. "He told me I had imagined things, that I was unstable, that I was trying to trap him with a baby he never wanted." Dr. Holloway listened. "I started believing him," she whispered. "Isn't that terrible? I started thinking maybe I was crazy. Maybe I had made it all up. Maybe I really was alone and imagining things." "You weren't imagining things," Dr. Holloway said. She looked at him. Something in his voice told her he meant more than a general reassurance. "What do you mean?" He paused. He was standing at a line now, a professional line, an ethical line. He was not supposed to share one patient's information with another, but he was also a human being. And this woman had spent 6 months believing she was losing her mind. "I mean," he said carefully, "that sometimes when people tell us our reality isn't real, the problem isn't with our reality." Claire studied him. She was intelligent. She understood he was telling her something without telling her. She nodded slowly. "Thank you," she said quietly. He stood to leave. "Doctor," she called after him. He turned. "Is she okay?" "The baby, I mean." "No matter what, is she okay?" He smiled. "She's perfect." Claire put her face in her hands and cried for the first time all night. At 3 in the morning, Nathan Graves walked out of room 6. He had spent 40 minutes with Diana. Dr. Holloway didn't know what was said in that room. It was not his place to know. But when Nathan walked past the nurse's station, he looked smaller than he had in the lobby. The groomed confidence was still there, technically, but something underneath it had shifted, like a building whose foundation had cracked. He stopped in front of Dr. Holloway. For a long moment neither man spoke. Then Nathan said very quietly, "I was going to end things with both of them, Claire and Sophie. I was going to do it properly. I just kept waiting for the right time." "The right time," Dr. Holloway repeated. "I know how that sounds." "How does it sound to you?" Nathan looked at the floor. He didn't answer. "Mr. Graves, I have 3 patients down these 3 hallways who are each carrying a piece of a life that you helped create. They're each alone tonight, and the only thing I can tell you with certainty is that children remember absence. Every single one of them. They feel it before they can name it." Nathan's eyes were wet now. Whether it was guilt or self-pity, Dr. Holloway couldn't tell. Maybe Nathan himself couldn't tell. "I don't know how to fix this," Nathan said. "That's not something I can help you with," said Dr. Holloway. "But running is not fixing. It just transfers the damage." Nathan left the hospital at 3:15 in the morning. He did not go back into room 6 before he left. Diana's nurse found her 30 minutes later, sitting upright in bed, staring at the wall, the sheets pulled tight around her. She told the nurse she was fine. She just wanted the television off and the lights dimmed. The nurse came to find Dr. Holloway quietly. "She knows," the nurse said. He nodded. "I expected she would." Dawn came slowly. The storm had passed. The sky outside the hospital windows turned from black to deep blue to a pale, quiet grey. Birds began somewhere in the distance. At 6:47 in the morning, Sophie went into labour. It was fast and intense, and her uncle held her hand the entire time and cried louder than she did. At 7:22, her daughter was born, tiny, red-faced, and screaming with remarkable force for someone so small. Sophie held her and couldn't speak. She just kept touching the baby's fingers one by one, counting them, as if making sure this small person was entirely real. Dr. Holloway was there. When Sophie looked up at him through tears, she said, "She's mine, isn't she?" "Really mine." "She's completely yours," he said. Sophie nodded like she was filing that away somewhere permanent. At 9:15, Claire delivered, a girl as well, born with dark hair and Claire's same quiet expression, like she had already decided she was going to take the world seriously. When the nurses placed her on Claire's chest, Claire said nothing for almost 2 full minutes. She just breathed, in and out, her hand pressed against her daughter's back. Then she said, "We're going to be okay." It wasn't a question. Diana delivered at 11 in the morning, a boy. She did not cry when they placed him in her arms. She just looked at him for a very long time with an expression that Dr. Holloway would remember for the rest of his career because it contained everything at once. Love so fierce it looked almost like